Hi and welcome to today's episode, which is going to be all about discovering whether or not I can make a burger out of items from my cupboards. For the last week or so, I've had powerful cravings for a burger. Can't explain it, not pregnant. Although there are lots of really good meat substitutes available, I thought I'd try and cobble something together that doesn't rely then on things like soy protein, gluten, that kind of thing. So it's going to be fairly whole food based, apart from a couple of bits. This is more to give you kind of ideas rather than a hard and fast recipe, but I'll give you most of the measurements as they come up. This is also going to be fairly high protein as well. When I come to do the edit, I'll maybe do a little table for you, a little spreadsheet, and pop it here or at the end, and then you can see what the protein content is, that sort of thing. So I'm going to chuck in a can of chickpeas. I've drained them, haven't rinsed them or anything, and when I drained them I kept the water, the aquafaba, and that's gone in the freezer ready to make granola or meringues, all sorts of other bits and pieces. Never throw it away, kids. This was, I want to say, a 400-gram tin of chickpeas, also known as garbanzo beans, depending on where you are in the world. Just go in with a potato masher. You can do this in the food processor as well if you want, but I quite like having a bit of a sort of rougher texture. I'm going to pop in some fresh veggies, partly for flavour and also partly to use them up. And partly to give some texture in there, because otherwise you've just got lots of soft things going on in there. So I've got 3 banana shallots, 1 enormous carrot, 2 spring onions that were lurking behind something in the fridge. With the spring onions, or scallions, depending where you are, just peel off the kind of tougher outer skin and then use the rest. Some people only use the green. I think that's heresy, personally. Use all of it. 2 1/4 spring onions, and then just very speedily slice all the way through. And then because these are going in a burger, I'll do them a little bit finer. So just get the blade back over again. I'm just going to do 1 shallot. I think otherwise it'll overpower everything else. So that's the root end, that's the other end. I'm going to cut that off, split that in half, and then pull off the papery bit. So if you've not come across these before, it's just like a type of onion and it's very mild. So it doesn't have that intensely onion, eye-watering vibe that onions tend to have. So it's great, you know, especially in salads, because it's not too stinky and raw. And then make sure you've got a really sharp knife. Just cut that down a bit. And dice those. You should be left with fairly small, nice little bits. You can always run your knife through it if you want. Peeling the carrot isn't mandatory, especially if it's fresh, but because this has been sat in the fridge for a couple of weeks at least, the skin, the outer part, has just got quite an intense flavour. So I'm just going to take the outer skin off. And get this on the box grater. Popping in some quinoa. This is 85 grams dried weight, about half a cup, and I cooked it in just loads of water with some beef flavoured stock powder in it, just to give it some extra beefiness, bit of extra flavour. Quinoa's got lots of protein in it, and it also has, I believe, all 9 of the essential amino acids. So there's loads of goodness in there, and they've got a great kind of texture to them when you crunch it. It's a little bit minced beef-like, that sort of thing, which is mostly why it's going in the burger. I cooked and drained the quinoa, and it's just been sat chilling out. It goes really nice and light and fluffy. It's a little bit like couscous, I guess, in texture, that sort of vibe to it. If you've watched the tempeh 2 ways video that I did, you'll be somewhat familiar with my disastrous attempts at trying to cook cowpeas in the Instant Pot. Still haven't cracked it. They are very mushy. I was going to use kidney beans, but I didn't have any, so I thought, oh, I'll use that packet up. So this is 150 grams of dried cowpeas, about a cup. And to cook them, all I did is rinse them well under cold water, threw them in the Instant Pot with more cold water, and then put them on for 12 minutes initially. That wasn't enough, so put them on for another 5, and that was too much, I guess. That's what you're looking for. I think I bought them from an Indian supermarket, I want to say. For even more texture, I'm going to pop in some toasted oats. These are just jumbo oats that I put in the oven at 200 degrees C, about 400 Fahrenheit, and just sort of kept turning them every 7-8 minutes for about, I don't know, half an hour, something like that, until they're all kind of even in colour. Sprinkle those on. Toasting them isn't essential, but I find if you put them in raw, they just have a little bit of a dusty flavour, whereas toasting them just gives it a nice kind of nuttiness almost. So options there. Load of black pepper. For a bit of saltiness, I'm going to use soy sauce, but feel free to use just regular salt, that's fine. Or miso paste, anything salty. So I'll do like a teaspoon and then try it and see if it needs any more. Give that a really good mix together. I'm going to try at this stage, see if it needs any more seasonings or anything. Yes, it's nice, but it could be better. I made this a few months ago. It's a roast mushroom powder. I want to say I did it for the WTF steaks. It's mushrooms grated and then roasted with treacle, beef flavoured stock, beetroot, any kind of brown flavoured cocoa, coffee, that kind of thing. And then roasted, dehydrated and powdered. And it just gives a kind of beefy sort of flavour to anything. When I did it, I did I think 1.5 kilos of mushrooms and then got a full jar full. If you haven't made this yourself yet, get on that, do it. But you can just use treacle, coffee, dark chocolate, anything dark brown in flavour is going to work really well in here. So I'll pop in 2 teaspoons I think to start with. Let's do 3, why not? 2 teaspoons of beetroot powder, partly for a bit of colour, although that's going to go quite dark as it cooks, but the inside will probably stay a little bit red. But it does give a really nice deep earthy flavour. To boost up the protein even more, I'm going to pop in pea protein. So it's like a protein isolate that you can buy from bodybuilding shops, that kind of thing. You don't have to use it by any stretch, but if you've got it in the cupboard, bung it in. So it's not bright green as you might expect. It's kind of a yellowy beige type of colour. I'm going to pop in, I don't know, 2 tablespoons. We'll see how that goes. And I think this is also going to act as a bit of a binder and kind of keep everything held together. And then I'm going to add in some panko. Now these are Japanese breadcrumbs made from rice bread. So they're very light in texture, very crisp and crunchy. If you are gluten-free or cooking for someone who's gluten-free, read the back because a lot of them do have wheat in. So you do have to kind of perhaps do a specialist order or yeah, I don't know, just be judicious. So here's the texture of them. I use them to coat the crispy tofu and also the chicken Kiev. And they've just got a really, really light, crisp, crunchy texture. They're fantastic. So I'm going to put in a few tablespoons. And this is just for a bit of extra texture, bulk it out a little bit, and to sort of help, again, cake everything together. I'm going to squeeze in a little bit of lemon juice just to brighten the flavour a little bit, just to give it a touch, you know, a bit of lift. And then get my hands in there and look like I've murdered someone. So you can see it quickly takes on the appearance of beef when you start putting the beetroot and that mushroom powder in. Once everything's all evenly mixed, I'm just going to check to see if it's going to hold everything together, which it is. I'm going to do mine in the air fryer just for ease because I can't be bothered standing there flipping it constantly, but you can just as easily do it in the oven or on the stove. I've deliberately not put any oil in the mixture just because I'm trying to kind of minimise the amount of fatty stuff I put in my body because it's out of control at the moment, and I'm going to put cheese on it. But do feel free to pop in, you know, a couple of tablespoons of oil and just squinch it all together. But I am going to put oil on the top, so I'm going to squirt oil over. Pop these in 15 minutes at 160 and then I'll see where we're at. Keep pausing it and see what we're doing. I'm going to slide those in. Don't know how well you'll be able to hear this over the air fryer. I'm going to portion the rest up and I'll see you back here in about 15-20 minutes or so. I had the burgers in the air fryer for about 25 minutes, flip them over halfway through, give them a probe, see what the internal temperature is. We're at like 175 thereabouts, which is about 80 centigrade. And the tip comes out nice and clean. They do look a little bit dry though, don't they? Not like a glistening, juicy burger, which obviously they're not gonna completely replicate it. So I was kind of thinking, oh, maybe I should do a glaze like I did with the deli meats. And it came down to not having the energy. And it's like 7:30. So then I remembered I've got this stuff. Not completely sure how to pronounce this. Kicap manis, maybe? But it's like a really thick syrupy soy sauce from Malaysia. So I'm gonna brush some of that on and bang it back in again. I think that's gonna be perfect. I'm gonna brush it on. And it's got a mild sweetness to it, and again, lovely umami saltiness from the soy. You could also do barbecue, that kind of thing, that would work really well. Anything you like, really, just to get a little bit of, you know, a bit of colour and a bit of life to it, because it does look a bit flat. You can, of course, just stick it in a bun and eat it as is. That's absolutely fine. So that just takes it up a notch really, doesn't it? It's burger time. Yes! Ah! I was trying to think of what to eat with it because I wasn't in the mood for fries, and I remembered I had some cabbage and bacon that needed eating, so that's going to be great with it, I think, because the bacon's got a nice kind of salty, smoky flavour, bit of crunch from the cabbage. So I've loaded mine with some Applewood smoked vegan cheese. There's hot sauce on the bottom, and then a bit of cucumber, the bun, bit of rocket, arugula, wherever you are. And I roasted some mushrooms with balsamic and garlic last night. So I put those on, and then a bit of Dijon on the top. I'm so excited for this, I honestly can't tell you. Burger time. That's really good. I've over toasted the bun slightly, it's getting in the way. But the flavour's there. Oh, that's nice. So the burger, you know, it's a fairly consistent texture throughout. You know, it's not going to have radical changes the way a beef burger does. And I was a bit concerned it was going to be super dry, but it's not. It's nice. A little bit meatloaf-like. I'll definitely be making those again. And the kicap, the soy sauce stuff I put on the outside. Oh, that was a genius idea. It really has just kind of finished it off. Really good. Really, really good. For more answers to the question of where do you get your protein, hit subscribe, tap the bell icon, and check out this. Spoiler alert, it's in a lot of things.